Yeah.
Hey, I'm Nate Mulliner with Today Cornhole. We're going to do a quick video on how to repair bags and poles. No holes, just poles. I started doing this back in February and done a lot of bags, done bags for people, and figured we'd share this tutorial. So without further ado, bringing on in, we got a Viper seat here with an absolute ton of damage to it, but we're going to work on a single one and try to keep this video quick. What we're looking for here is you can see where it was initially pulled by whatever sharp object it got cut up on, whether it was a bag or something on the ground. And if you'll notice closely, you'll see brown within this white line. So what happens is the thread actually pulls up and drags it out of its seated position on both sides. What I usually do is I'll work my way, pull it gently, a little bit at a time. And what we're going to do is find the original seating position for the pole. So you'll see the colors drag as we go. A little bit of finesse here. Faster materials usually are the easiest bags to easiest side of a fabric to pull, or side of a bag. Just depends on who makes it, if they have any kind of waxing on it like Ultra usually does, and that usually comes off after some wear. So this one's kind of a little bit of an older pole. It's going to have probably a little bit more of a struggle with it. And then so you'll see the original eye loop is slowly going down. We have some black here, and then you can kind of tell where that's going to go originally with. So most of the distance is going to be down this direction. You have some orange popping out here. So this orange right here is going to tell you that needs to go back the other way. That right there is probably about that seated position for that part right there. So we'll start working back down this way just a little bit. This tool I'm using is a dermal pick. I stole it out of my wife's makeup drawer. You can guess what it's for. But the tip on it is very strong. Rather than the crickets you'll find at Walmart and stuff, I find this one just does a lot better of a job. There's no bending or anything to it. So that's pretty well seated right there. Now what you do is once you've got it kind of seated, you might have to roll the thread itself. Sometimes they get flipped over. And you see if I kind of pull on it, you can see the brown coming out of the white there. This is best done with a little bit of water on your finger. Kind of grabs the fabric better. But you can work it in. And don't worry about the fading of the other fabric as you're doing that. It seats back to normal. There's no issue. I've never had it cause an issue. And we'll just slowly work it back and forth as we go through the whole pole. It's already seating pretty quickly, pretty nicely. Now the original spot where it was pulled at, sometimes the fabric actually gets frayed and damaged. It's going to be the hardest spot to actually kind of recover, and sometimes you can't at all. Just depends on how bad it is, how long it was used after it was pulled, etc. So I'm kind of kneading it back in. You can see some of it disappearing as I go. The length of the pole being all the way up and down the bag. This one's a pretty bad one. So we have the black here on the orange. Obviously that needs to go back the other way. And this is where the age of the pole kind of shows itself. You have tougher spots. So a little black right there. Here's the orange. A little bit of finesse, not so shaky hands. I'm pretty shaky right now. Not doing a great job at that. So when we first started, this was all pretty white, and this was all white. This part up here, where it's still pretty white, the thread needs to come down just a hair more and be rotated. And it's pretty worn in. This part's where it gets tricky with pulling that thread over. Sometimes you might have to knead it back and forth if I've had success in doing that. For flipping the thread.
Slowly work it back into place. Doesn't hurt to kind of stretch it out too. That's going to seat the other fabrics or the weave around it a little bit too. Just trying to rotate from the bottom base here. Get it back in spot. There it starts to go. So what we have now, a little bit of the brown, the weave itself, the thread is actually kind of embedded in the part that's not sublimated. I'm going to have to pick that out individually, kind of bring it out a little bit more as it turns over. And basically, that's all there is to it. Some pulls take a lot of time. I spent over 2 hours on some bags. Brad Ross knows about those. Did a few for him. It took a lot of time. Takes a lot of time and patience, but if you have a bag that's valuable that you really care about, it's definitely worth it. You can see as these ones start to disappear, moving up, bringing that brown up. Bring this black out right here. A little bit of that orange. Trying to pull too hard, you might pull it the wrong direction and have to start all over too. Well, you get the gist of it. I think we'll cut this video short, so you're not sitting here watching me fumble on this thing for the next 3 hours.